What is up, Nerd Nation? It's your boy Hunter here for FilmNerd TV, and tonight we are doing a new series on my channel called the FilmNerd Film Club, and this is episode 1, and this is on the highly anticipated, in honor of Deadpool 2, we are talking about the first Deadpool movie. I'm not joined alone. I'm joined by, first off, my co-host on Let's Talk Anime, RJ. RJ, how's it going, brother?
It's good, man. I mean, like you said, this is a really good anticipated sequel, so it's nice to just revisit the first one and take a look at it, get excited.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And another friend of mine, please welcome Russell Howell. Russell, how's it going, brother?
Good, man. I appreciate you having me on. Yeah, like how you guys just kind of reiterate, yeah, it's an anticipated sequel, and can't have a sequel without a successful first movie. So interested to dive into this one and talk about all things Deadpool.
Doubt. Okay, so pretty much how this is going to work is, first, spoiler alert for anyone who's not, come on now, it's been out for about 2 years? So,
yeah,
you would have watched it by now. This is going to be a open discussion show, 30 minutes, just talking about what we loved, our favorite characters, our favorite moments, our least favorite characters, our least favorite moments. So, RJ, why don't you start off with just an opening thoughts and what you liked about the first Deadpool movie?
I mean, it was just so... It was nice to see Ryan Reynolds get to put Wade Wilson to film the way he wanted to. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like talking about it, but I mean, that abysmal first look of Deadpool we got in X-Men Origins Wolverine was just like besides the opening scene with him was fantastic. And then what they did to him as Weapon X was just ridiculous. And ever since then, everybody was like, we want to see Deadpool for real. And, like, as I tell everybody, I'm not the biggest comic book fan. I recently got back into comics, but I don't know comics like everyone else does. So Deadpool to me was still a little unfamiliar at the time. After that whole fiasco, I went in, looked into it. I saw what he was as a character. I looked up some stuff, some literature on him. And then people started making cartoons and everything about him. And yes, he couldn't be his usual self in cartoons, but in the cartoons, I could see what he was supposed to be. And I was like, yeah, it'd be nice to see him in his full rated R glory. And just seeing it on screen with Ryan Reynolds still in that character that seemed perfect, it warms your heart. It was, in a weird way, it's a nice, fun movie. And it was a breath of fresh air to see something that's superhero based, but that was so... a little bit more true to its source than most other things are.
Oh, yeah. All right, Russ, same question to you. Go ahead.
Yeah, to me, this is actually the first time that we've seen a rated R Marvel film also introduce the comedic aspect of things, too. You know, we had Blade in the late 90s, early 2000s, but this was more successful, obviously. Just what Tim Miller did with Deadpool and the character Ryan Reynolds, he was born for this role. Anything Ryan Reynolds has done, like i.e. waiting and stuff like that, he plays a smartass. So let's find a character that is a smartass, and it's Deadpool. It's Wade Wilson, you know, and it's perfect because that fits his personality, and that's why I think it was so successful, because of the fact that it was a perfect casting for it. Kind of like how RDJ was perfectly cast as Tony Stark, synonymously with Ryan Reynolds casted as Deadpool. I just thought that was the casting of that was great, and I just like how he the Deadpool character in itself it's not afraid to offend people and throw things out that may be offensive, but it's in a comedic way. And I think the blending of action and comedy really makes this movie very original in that formation, kind of how like Guardians of the Galaxy kind of was original in its own way, you know, with a music-driven movie. This is kind of the same way with that. And I think that's why Deadpool was so successful, was because of that. It was different. It wasn't afraid to cross boundaries. So that's why I enjoyed Deadpool, and I liked, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to agree with both of you that Ryan Reynolds was the perfect casting for Deadpool, because Ryan Reynolds had wanted to make a great Deadpool movie ever since he got the role back in X-Men Origins. One thing that a lot of people bring up as why Deadpool was so successful, and I agree, was the genius marketing strategy behind it. I mean, you had him and Slater, and then with the rated R tease, you had all the Valentine's Day billboards in LA, which were just genius. And a thing that I do like is it was very true to the marketing. Deadpool is a very romantic movie, if that makes any sense, because of the love aspect of him and Vanessa, aka Copycat. I love the humor, which was very quick-witted. Like, Ryan Reynolds is a naturally funny guy, so when he's put in a role like this, it really does work perfectly to what he's doing. Another thing, I just love the supporting cast. I love Colossus, Negasonic Teenage Warhead. I love the villain, Ajax. Yeah, everything in this movie worked so well because, one, you had a great charismatic actor behind it, you had a great director, and you had people who were willing to push the limits of what they were going to do in a normal superhero comic book-esque movie. So, RJ, let's go into some of your favorite moments in Deadpool. Now, again, spoiler alert, we're going into our favorite scenes, our favorite moments, our favorite lines. Just, the floor is yours, buddy.
Oh man, that's so hard just because of
I know.
how well with the writing they did to fit this all in. Top of my head, I mean, just in general, the fourth wall breaking was on point. I mean, that could have gone so wrong,
Wall break.
but it was just so good. That was actually probably one of my favorite lines when he's like, fourth wall break and a fourth wall break. It's like 16 walls. So that was a good one. When unfortunately when he's talking with Al and he's like, I bet it feels gigantic in this hand when he's talking about what he's gonna go do with his new growing hand.
Oh my god.
When Colossus tells him he's taking him to see the professor and he's like, Stewart and McAvoy. But honestly, my favorite line, I can honestly say, is near the end when he well, actually it's a tie and they're both kind of close to each other, is when he finds out that Dopender has actually kidnapped his cousin. and he's trying to, like, play it off, and he's like, I am so disappointed in you. I'm so proud of you. Yeah. You take him back home right now. Kill him. and then right before they get in the taxi with Al, when he's saying goodbye, and he's like, somewhere hidden in this room is 100 pounds of cocaine and the cure for blindness, and it just leaves. Yeah. Like just the like perfect dick move you can pull. But yeah, I mean, those are just some of my favorite ones. And then one of my favorite moments, not necessarily like a line, was the whole Calendar Girl sequence. That thing that was like the best romantic montage I've seen in years. It was great.
Happy Women's Day.
Yeah, happy Women Independence Day.
Oh my god. All right, Russ?
Yeah, to resonate off what Rene was saying, I love his banter back and forth with Dopender. I think that's such a oil and water relationship. I think that's why that's so successful. It's just so funny. Another scene that sticks out is at the end when Colossus is talking, giving that big serious speech, and then Deadpool just shoots him. He starts firing off shots at him. I thought that was kind of funny because he's giving this like real serious speech about I think it was about being a superhero,
being a hero.
Being a hero and stuff, giving this real serious moment, and he had to go piss on it by shooting a guy in the head. The opening scene, Angel in the Morning, I think that whole thing, that whole choreographed scene was pretty amazing. Just how he was counting down bullets the whole entire time, and just how that whole action sequence, man, was filmed so meticulously, and it was beautiful to watch unfold on the screen. It had that Matrix Reloaded feel to it there. Very well shot, and I thought that was a really good scene there at the beginning, just a way to throw you right into the driver's seat from the beginning. like yeah, the calendar girl scene was hilarious. Obviously, it's something that sticks in your head because it was just hilarious. Um, and then just his banter back and forth with T.J. Miller, I also liked that a lot. Just because of T.J. Miller, it was funny because I had to laugh because there was a scene when T.J. Miller was talking about the poop emoji that he thought was chocolate pudding. And later on, he would go and be in the Emoji Movie. I thought that was kind of funny because he didn't know that what an emoji was or whatever. He didn't know he thought that the poop emoji was just chocolate yogurt or chocolate ice cream or something like that. And it was funny because in a couple years he would have been in a movie called The Emoji Movie. I just thought that was kind of funny. I noticed that on my rewatch. And just Ryan Reynolds in general. I just how his mannerisms and stuff like that. He's just so unique to the character, and anything he throws out is just funny. So that's why the movie it's just so successful. And it's so different from your typical superhero movie. It does incorporate love. It incorporates, vulgarity and comedy and action, and it mixes it all together in a blender. And I think the result is pretty special.
Yeah. My favorite moments is that opening credit scene where it's like directed by some talentless hack.
Yeah.
Produced by a bunch of asshats. Another one I liked is that whole action scene, as you guys were talking about. Was so it was so badass, so choreographed so well, and it's got one of my favorite lines in the movie. It's probably because I love this movie so much, but when Colossus has his hand, he's like, "Hey, have you guys seen 127 Hours?" Spoiler alert! He starts cutting off his hand,
Yeah.
and then just the bird that he flips as his hand is being chopped off. Like another moment I like is the Stan Lee cameo when he's Cassidy,
yeah, the
and he's a freaking
he's
DJ for a strip club.
Yeah.
DJ or whatever.
Just so many funny moments in this movie. Like Deadpool is the only movie that like I can watch multiple times and keep laughing at all the jokes and catch new jokes every time, which is what I love about this movie. All right, RJ, go into some of your favorite characters besides Deadpool.
I mean, for me, it's easily Dopender. I mean, just like you could have sworn that he was just going to be some one-off hapless citizen who was just going to have a run-in with Deadpool at the beginning of the movie, or not at the beginning of the time sequence, but he's just like dropping him off, and how he does it with the whole when he doesn't pay him, and then at the end he doesn't actually expect him to pay him. He's like, another high five for you, Dopender. 2. It's
2.
He was just such a surprise, and then like I said, how he comes back and you find out he actually took Deadpool's advice, and how prominent he is in the previews for Deadpool 2. It's just he was just such a surprise. So I would have to say, outside of that, Megasonic Teenage Warhead was also a delight just because of the teenage sarcasm she did bring to it. So that banter between them was always really nice when they were on screen together.
Russ, same question to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna rehash it again. Yeah, Dopender, just how he's funny, just because how he idolizes Wade, and he just really looks up to him. And Wade's just such an awful person, and Dopender just wants to fit in. He wants to find purpose, and he looks to Wade for kind of like guidance. And it's almost like the last person you would look for, for guidance. I think he's funny. I like Weasel, T.J. Miller's character again. I like the banter between him and Ryan Reynolds. I think they play well off each other. Just how he makes fun of how disfigured Wade looks and stuff like that. And I just think he's super funny in the film. But him and Dopender, I think, are the ones that really stick out for me. I just really enjoy the on-screen chemistry that they have. And it's funny because, like I said, Dopender and Deadpool are almost like oil and water. So it's kind of funny to watch those characters interact with each other. And just how, like I said, how Dopender just like looks up to this guy so much. And he just idolizes Deadpool. I just think it's just so funny.
a few for me is one. I love Vanessa. I thought the chemistry and the connection between her and Wade worked so well for this movie and was pretty much the driving point of this movie. I love Dopinder, just like you guys. I think the fact that one, like as was pointed out, he idolizes Wade for some odd reason. And just like again, the banter that they have back and forth is it's like that friendly banter you have with your friends where you're just like, okay, I don't want to hurt his feelings, so I'm not going to say anything right now. But Wade's like, sometimes I want to just like tell this guy off, but I'm not going to. I love Colossus. I thought the way he was so like squeaky clean in this rated R Deadpool worked so well as like the tie into the X-Men. Back to one of my the movie, they're at the X Mansion, and Negasonic opens the door, and Deadpool just goes, Ripley from Alien 3.
Yeah.
I was like, good job there. I love all of these supporting cast because they all work well with Deadpool. Find Al, who's being just a colossal asshole back to Deadpool and just giving him the one-liners back, or whether it's T.J. Miller's character Weasel, who again the great banter back and forth. It's what like Deadpool is a good movie because every scene that Wade Wilson is in with somebody, it works. It works together because the chemistry is there with all of the actors, which is what I love completely. Thoughts on that, Russ? Thoughts on the connection between the actors, the characters, everything like that?
Yeah, just kind of how I reiterated the fact. Yeah, it's the fact that you have like his love interest, and they have a really believable relationship, and I think that's what makes it so successful as the romance side of things. But then you also have the comedic aspect of things. T.J. Miller's character of Weasel, Dopinder, and stuff like that. So it isn't a healthy mix of characters. There's different types of personalities in this film, and that's what makes it so successful. Colossus, how you said, very serious by the book type of superhero. Deadpool, completely the opposite of it. It's funny to watch those two interact with each other just because they are polar opposites. You know what I mean? Colossus is so squeaky clean, and you have Deadpool who is not squeaky clean. So it's funny, but everything works, and that's the balance of this film. That's why Miller directing this film, Tim Miller directing this film. I think everything was perfect. Everything just flowed. It wasn't like oversaturated with one character or the other. This movie worked, and I think that's why the movie was so successful, and obviously well enough to garner a sequel. So yeah.
RJ, you want to bring anything else in?
I mean, it's kind of like what you said earlier about just like it was just not only Ryan Reynolds that made this movie great, it was the great supporting cast. I don't feel like anybody, maybe minus Angel does, maybe, I don't know, I have weird feelings. Like I wanted to see more from her, maybe, but other than that, like every supporting character fit. No one felt out of place. Mm-hmm. Nobody felt like a waste of screen time. When they were on the screen, they were there for a reason, and it worked. So, I mean, this movie just did it right. Just did this Deadpool concept right.
Yep. All right, so I'm going to go into something that might be a little controversial, but can you guys think of any negative moments in Deadpool? Maybe moments that made you roll your eyes, least favorite characters, something that you would find negative about the movie Deadpool. RJ?
Honestly, yeah, besides Angel Dust, maybe I just wanted a little bit more. But other than that, I can't really think of anything that. Yeah, like I'm actually trying to think. No, there was like not anything. Okay, maybe the one thing I was like, was that really necessary? Was the masturbation scene flashback when he's like, let's go back a little bit. No, you go back. We don't want to watch
the unicorn.
Yeah, that's maybe about it. That one I was just like, really? Like, okay, like it was funny, but then the more I watch it, I'm just like, okay, like we get it, it's funny, you caught him jerking off. But yeah, other than that, there's nothing ever really that upsets me about this movie.
All right, Russ.
Yeah, honestly, I really can't think of much that I was like, wow, why did they do this? Yeah, I'm gonna cop out like Renee though. I really can't pick a fall about the movie. I enjoyed it. I thought the vulgarity of it was fun. It was, I mean, you can't go in there taking things too serious, and I think that's why people took offense to it because you go in there, you know what I mean? You know, you're all uptight and stuff like that. You're gonna take offense to stuff like that. This is a superhero where you don't do that. You go in with like, you know, carefree, you know, whatever attitude, and that's what makes it work. And I really can't find faults in this film. I enjoyed it, and like I said, it was one of those first to blend the rated R Marvel movie to with comedic aspects of it because Blade really didn't do that, and that was the only rated R film I believe. Before that was the first Ghost Rider was
There was Kick Ass that was rated R, I believe.
okay, and on the Punisher and stuff like that. But I'm saying this mixed it in
Yeah,
with comedy, which I thought. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, Kick-Ass did too,
yeah,
but
Kick-Ass was pretty funny.
it was.
yeah.
But I thought this did it to a grander level. I thought, and
Mm-hmm.
was
Of
more
course.
successful than Kick-Ass. I mean,
Oh
but
yeah.
not taking things away from Kick-Ass, but this is why I think this was a shift turner for the MCU. Was this film? I thought this kind of turned a different path down the MCU just because they have a different character that is not your cookie cutter Captain America character. He's a lot different than Captain America, and that's fun. It's fun to see that. It's fun to see different superheroes. Not everybody be this perfect person. Does right by the book and stuff like that. It's fun to see a character that kind of like Punisher, kind of doesn't play by the rules, so to speak. So yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. These are gonna be nitpicks, but I didn't really like the Angel Dust character as much. I feel like she was put in the background a lot, so I didn't really get to like that character as much as I wanted to. Um, Another thing is the movie kind of dragged at one point for me during the transformation of Wade Wilson to Deadpool. I felt like that scene went on a little too long, but it worked for the purpose of getting you to feel for Wade. So I'm not gonna knock it that much. Other than that, I can't think of anything else besides those two minor nitpicks, and that's just me trying to find something that something that's negative, so I don't get this movie like the perfect movie. But other than that, like I enjoyed myself so much. Like I watched this movie multiple times. Saw it 3 times in the theaters, more times on HBO and on Blu-ray and DVD. So I absolutely love this movie. So we're gonna end this off with a rating, 1 to 5 stars. Russ, start with your closing thoughts and then a rating 1 to 5.
Yeah, kind of just how I'm rehashing the same things I talked about, but no, Deadpool was an important movie for the MCU just because of the fact it was different. It dared to be different. It was successful in the fact that you had the perfect casting of it. You casted somebody who really embodied the role of Wade Wilson. Ryan Reynolds is a perfect choice. I really can't see kind of like how you can't see somebody else playing Tony Stark like RDJ. I can't see somebody else being successful as Wade Wilson as opposed to with Ryan Reynolds being casted. Overall, I enjoyed the film. I love the comedic aspect of things mixed with the action side of things, mixed with the drama. Put it in a blender, and that's Deadpool. I enjoyed the film. If I had to give it a rating between 1 to 5 stars, I would give it to the 4.5 stars. It's far from a perfect movie, but it is a good time, and it's one of the better Marvel movies. Marvel has been known for some duds, cough, cough, Fantastic Four. But this one was fun. It was fun just to go to a movie like Deadpool and be entertained, and have a drama attached to it. Like you feel for the characters and you actually believe it. It's not something that's like oh, we're just going to throw this random girl in, he's going to fall for him, blah blah blah, and people will be like, oh, it's cute. You actually buy the romance between the two. I think that's why their chemistry on screen is so believable, and that makes the movie that much more successful because of that. And yeah, that's really about it. as Hunter goes away. Renee, what do you think about it? What did you think? What's your closing review for it?
Um, I mean, it's like you said earlier. It's hard not to just reiterate what we've been talking about this whole time. It was just such a breath of fresh air, and it was a total shot in the dark. Like it was, they I mean, they didn't take a real chance because they didn't give him a lot of money.
Yeah.
But they gave Ryan Reynolds and Tim Miller the chance of like, fine, y'all say y'all can make a success out of this movie, go for it. And they did it spectacularly. I can't speak. I don't know the proper word. Yeah. But of course, like it doesn't have many flaws. It's rewatchable for someone like us, but I can understand why some people don't find it as rewatchable.
Oh, for sure.
So if I had to give it a rating, give it like a 4.2 out of 5, easy. I don't ever see it dropping lower than a 4, no matter how many times I watch it. I mean, I think this is an A movie, easy.
Oh, for sure. I totally agree. And I guess you and I are just carrying this on. So yeah, I totally agree though. No, yeah, for sure. It's one of those like 8 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10 movie. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's, like I said, it's far from perfect. It's not a Logan or you know what I mean. But this movie is fun, and that's the whole. You got to put different hats on when you go to the movies. You can't just be all this like walk the straight line the whole entire time when you go see a film because movies are just all different. You never know what you're gonna get, and that's like I said, kind of how you were touching upon what you said. That's the beauty of it. It's different. It dared to be different, and it was successful, and that's why we have a sequel. So
yeah, I mean, as of this, you said you've already seen 2, right?
Yeah, I've already seen it.
So before you went into it, what were you expecting? Like, what were you hoping for with 2?
I'm not going to give any. This is spoiler free, so I'm not giving away
Obviously.
anything. To me, I thought what made the first one so successful, I felt like they tried to snowball off of in the second one, and it made the second one. I mean, the second one was a good film. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't as good as the first one because of the fact that it wasn't original. You know what I mean? It piggybacked off of what was so successful in 2016, and I thought that aspect of things, I enjoyed the film. Don't get me wrong; it was an entertaining film. It was funny, filled with a lot of good jokes and a lot of good action sequences. But to me, I just thought it was just a rehashing of the first one. You know what I mean? But still enjoyable. But to me, like the original factor kind of wore off because it's like, well, I've already seen this. You know what I mean? I've seen that. But I mean, overall, though, it's a fun time. I'm not disregarding it, but definitely the first one's better in my eyes. I don't know.
Yeah, and for me, that's all I really want out of it. I just want to have a good time again. Like I just like because like you said, like everyone's always worried about rehash, but for me, it's like with the Deadpool, I don't mind the rehash because it's like I don't want complexity in Deadpool. I don't want him to like grow as a character per se. Let him go through some changes, but like I want him to go on the same adventure every time because it's Deadpool. That's what he does. I want to see him get in a whole bunch of trouble and drag his non-superhero friends into it unwillingly or willingly. However, I don't know. I'm looking forward to the new characters too. But yeah, that's all I can really say.
Yeah, and like I said, the opening montage with Celine Dion's song. Whoa, Celine Dion's song is absolutely priceless.
Yeah.
Did you see that song she did for the film Ashes?
I did not, but I did watch. I did watch the thing they released for Deadpool when it shows her singing the song and it's Deadpool in the audience. I saw that video, so that was great. That made me.
Yeah, it's funny because they use that song to an opening of like a James Bond montage, and it's hilarious. I mean, I'm not really with that, but it's really funny. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah. Just in time for Hunter. Hunter, what did you think of the film? What's your overall rating?
Sorry guys, I had to go off for a second, but overall, I love Deadpool. I love Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. Love the supporting cast. Love the action. I love the comedy in this movie. I felt like the comedy worked so well. Everything worked so well, and the end credit scene was so perfect for this movie. The Ferris Bueller Day Off end credit scene montage. So overall, I'm going to give this movie a 4.8 out of 5. Has RJ already did his?
Yeah, RJ did it, and I did mine. Yeah.
I gave it a 4.2.
I gave it a. I said between a 4 and 4.5, so I went 4.5.
All right, guys. So that's the end of the Film Nerd Film Club, episode 1, Deadpool. Russ, where can people find you, bro?
Yeah, I got a YouTube channel. I do movie reviews, trailer reactions, Howell's Hollywood reviews, HH Wood reviews on Instagram, Twitter, Stardust, Letterboxd, all that fun stuff. Trying to do new concepts for movie shows and ideas and stuff like that. Also can find us, my buddy Chance Ellison and me. We have a podcast now, Notorious by Chance, where we do a lot of fun things with movies. We're gonna do a real interaction with the group too, and have it more audience driven too. So yeah, pretty much anything movies. We compete in Full Metal Media and all that fun stuff. I mean, anything movies, we're pretty much there. Just sign us up for it. And Hunter's gone again.
Yeah, got to go again. Well, anyways. If anyone's wondering where you can find me,
Rene, where can we find you?
Obviously at Full Metal Media, you guys can always find me. I don't do a lot of my own personal stuff, but anybody in these pages ever want to ask me to just come on and talk about stuff, I'm more than willing to shoot the shit about anything movie or related. So it looks like we got to keep it going until he comes back to sign it off because he's got the live button.
Yeah.
Play that same song. All right, same song. Here we go.
Boy,
it's the best cutaway ever. I'm sorry. Family Guy had the best Star Wars cutaway ever.
Sure, that was funny, yeah.
That was one of the best cutaways ever.
But yeah, that's really about it.
So what you think now after seeing it? Like, you think like how much you think Deadpool 2 is gonna make in compared to like you think it's gonna have like that first 2-week run and then it's gonna go down really quick, or you think it's gonna have a decent run for the summer?
Well, it's not gonna be like a Black Panther or Infinity War. I think it's gonna it's gonna have a big push. I think in the opening. I think I can see this going 135, 140-ish, I would say, maybe opening. And that's being generous because rated R, I mean, that's the thing. Rated R movies are a lot harder with that. But I could see between 130, 140 opening, and then that'll probably nosedive. With Infinity War being out too is going to hurt it. And then Solo
comes out next week. Yeah,
it's like you're competing against these big blockbusters, but if people want to see it, they're going to go pay and go see it. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter. Blockbuster after blockbuster can come out. If somebody wants to see Deadpool, they're going to go see Deadpool. They're not going to be like, oh, well, Solo came out, and I couldn't go see it because Solo was out. I mean, you can see Solo and then go the next day to go see Deadpool. It doesn't really matter. So I see that maybe that should probably take a 50% or more hit that first week because of Solo coming out. So I'm thinking maybe
I agree.
Maybe 60, 65 maybe the second week, but then you also got to compete with Solo. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
I mean, everyone knows my opinions about Solo. I mean, don't get me wrong. The latest stuff has got me more excited for it. Yeah. I still don't think it's going to do as well.
I mean, we didn't ask for a Solo movie, but I mean, it's Star Wars movies, so I mean, I'm going to go see it. And I mean, Ron Howard makes good movies. I mean, he makes good movies. He makes bad movies. He's just like every other director. You know, Spielberg makes bad movies. But this will be interesting. We'll see what happens. I'm going in with like the bar set really low, so it may impress me. Who knows?
I'm going in to like the expectation of like this is going to be a fun movie. I just don't know yet if it's going to be a good Han Solo movie.
Yeah.
But so far, it's a good movie.
And then I hope we get some Jabba in there too. I really hope Jabba the Hutt's in it. I mean, I'm hoping they have some kind of.
I'm thinking, like, for lack of a better word, I'm thinking there's a Jabba post-credit scene. Yeah. I'm thinking like the last thing we see is for the first time Han Solo being hired by Jabba.
Yeah, and I think
that's like the last thing, because like obviously he has like. Y'all could just like add this to like the Solo talks for later, because like my thing is like how he has his mentor.
Yeah.
Then like that's why the post-credit scene after everything's going down is his first job like on his own, and then that's when we meet Jabba because he's like, I got a job for you, Solo, and he's like, we're in.
Yeah, that could make sense. I mean, I could see it go that way, or I could see even Jabba being introduced like halfway, 3/4 away into the movie. I mean, it just depends on what they want to do.
Hey, I'm back.
And he's back again.
Sorry, guys.
It's okay. We kept it going.
We keep it rolling.
RJ, have you already plugged your stuff?
We've already done it. Been there, done that.
All right.
Where can the good people find you, Hunter? Obviously, they found you here, so.
Right here on FilmNerd TV, and you can check out my Patreon and my Stardust at FilmNerd TV and my Twitter. Yes, I got a Twitter. I don't use it as much, but I have one, FilmNerd TV. Thanks, guys. That's Russ. That's RJ. I'm Hunter, and we're FilmNerds. We'll see you guys soon. Peace.